Happy St. Patrick's Day. Today we have Nicholas Tesser, the white extraordinary.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be on.
And then, of course, your humble host, Saul Espinoza. Very humble. Okay, so Nicholas has prepared for us today different stories on St. Patrick, as it is St. Patrick's Day, the day we upload this. And we thought it would be really cool because maybe some people have misconceptions about St. Patrick, and also maybe they don't know about the cool, awesome stories that he could give us. And so yeah, I'll pass the mic to Nicholas. I'll just be making some funny remarks. Just make his life miserable.
Of course you do. All right. Where do I even start with St. Patrick? There's so much to start with him. I mean, I guess we can start like, who is St. Patrick even? A lot of people might know.
What kind of bath salts did he use?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
What was his favorite scented candle?
I don't know.
Leaf green.
Maybe it's like a potato flavor or something. All right, anyway.
Wait, he wasn't even Irish.
No, actually, yeah, he wasn't even Irish. He was actually, he was born in
black.
Britain. He was not black. Yeah, they just couldn't, they didn't have black color ink back then, so so they had to, like, portray him as white.
Yeah.
Big misconception. No, but he's actually, born in Britain. Around, I don't know exactly the town, but he was born there with his family. Oh, yeah.
Was it called Britain at the time?
Yeah. This was during like the 4th, 5th century.
So we could assume he had crooked teeth.
Yeah, we can assume he had pretty bad teeth. Sadly. Maybe we don't know. Maybe he had good teeth. Maybe
he had pearly whites.
Maybe, we don't know. Okay. But anyway, I guess I'll just start with like the early like life of St. Patrick. He was born in Britain, raised there. He didn't live fully in his faith. His parents, I believe one of his father was a deacon, so he was raised as a Catholic, but he didn't really, practice his faith a lot when he was a lot younger. And,
just like you.
Wow. Hey. So, but a big thing that happened in his life was, he got kidnapped at 16. So he was kidnapped, and he was brought over to Ireland, and that's where he was he worked as a shepherd. He was a slave shepherd, pretty much, for this one guy.
Just like you.
I know.
He's a slave for Koji.
I know. Help me. They don't pay me enough. They don't even pay me. All this work. No. But yeah, he was brought over to Ireland, and he worked as a slave. And that's when he really got his calling to, practice his faith. That's when he prayed so much when he was working as a shepherd. He would say he would pray, he would pray hours, like 100 rosaries a day.
100 times a day?
Yeah, 100 times a day. And
actually, I don't think the rosary was even a thing yet.
Oh,
or it wasn't fully developed at that time, right?
Well, 5th century?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know too much about that, but maybe. But he definitely prayed. Oh yeah, let me just say, there's 2 big things about St. Patrick that everyone can kind of get. He made some papers. Letters. One's called the Confessio, or Confession. It's his confession, and he wrote that. He actually wrote that. And there's another one where he wrote letters about some guards that killed some of the Catholics that he was basically not attacking, but kind of like saying, yeah, these guys are not good of what they did.
The guards?
Yeah, there's some guards that killed Catholics. The later story. We'll get into that. And he wrote that. But in the Confessio is the bigger one, his confession. And he talks about his life. So he gives like a quick biography of his life, his early life until his life, like when he was writing it. So it was definitely so good. If you haven't read it, you should go after this, read it. It's really short. It's not too long. It's a good short read.
It's weird because no one ever brings that up.
Yeah, it's super. I know it's from from St. Patrick.
Literally, I always hear people giving stories from other sources. I'm just like, why don't you just get it from St. Patrick? I didn't know that until you told me.
Yeah. So Yeah, I know. I didn't know him until I was starting doing research, and I was like, oh, whoa, like, he is like this. And, oh my, it was so good of a read. I definitely learned so much, and, yeah, a lot of it, I'm going to quote from it, because I got a lot of the sources, because, like, what better way to understand St. Patrick than, you know, from St. Patrick himself. So, anyway, we'll continue. He was a shepherd, a slave shepherd. And he would definitely prayed, and that's when he started learning and practicing his faith more. One day, he has these dreams. He has a dream of a ship. And that ship, he doesn't know, it's super far away from him, but it's calling him to go on that ship. And St. Patrick, he took that as a sign of God telling him to hop on that ship and to leave. So, as he was working, he didn't do it immediately, but he was just... over the time, he mustered up the courage to just go and flee from his captivity and to go find that ship. He had no idea where it is, but he had the dream. So he's like, all right, I got to find this ship. So he eventually escapes, and he starts looking for the ship. He just walks. He just walks all over Ireland just looking for a ship. He's like,
I'm on my way.
Yeah, pretty much.
To happiness today.
Yeah, pretty much. And then eventually... he comes upon the ship, and he's like, this is it. This is the ship. And he goes up to the sea captain of the ship, and they were pagans. And he asked basically, he's like, hey, mister, can I join your ship? And they were merchants. And they were going back to Britain. And they're doing some trade, you know. And at first they were just like, oh, sorry, kid. Well, you can't take you. And then St. Patrick, he gets all discouraged. He's like, oh, man. And then he's like, all right. Like, he just gives up like that fast. Like, he walks all this way, and he's like, this is the ship. And then all of a sudden, he's like, the guy's like, sorry. And he's like, oh, okay, bye. And he leaves. So anyway, he turns around, and he begins praying. And then all of a sudden, the captain, he changes his mind for some reason.
I feel a sudden urge to hire you, boy.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, he's like, you know what? Never mind. So he accepts St. Patrick to join him. So he hops on board with the ship, and then they go back to Britain. Long journey back, really difficult, but they eventually make it, and he eventually finds back his hometown and everything. So that's when he begins his journey in the monastery. That's where he started. Like he felt this calling.
The ministry.
Yeah. So he began his journey as in the ministry, and then eventually he gets another dream calling to go back to Ireland. I can't exactly remember the dream, but it was some Irish people, he imagined, that they were like praising him and calling him to basically come back. So he took that as a sign from God to just go back to Ireland. So he dreaded it.
Wait, sorry, how many years was he in captivity?
Captivity? He was at age 16. I think he went back to Ireland and began his actual ministry back in Ireland, I believe in his 30s, so it's probably...
He got back to Britain in his 30s?
No. He got back to Ireland. But he was probably... I want to say it was probably a couple years in captivity. Maybe
2-3 years?
2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So he was stuck there.
Well, yeah, I imagine that he was like 2-3 years there, and then like 6 to 8 years in seminary, right?
Yeah, so he went through that process. And then he went back to Ireland. He was dreading it. Like, imagine like you get kidnapped.
Wait, was he a bishop already?
No, he was not. I believe he was. He got bishoped, or he was a bishop in Ireland. He became a bishop, but he started as a missionary to bring the faith over to Ireland, because there's a lot of paganism going on around there. A lot of that. Not that many Catholics around there. So he
oh, great potato! Your infinite goodness.
The potato Lord.
Your immortality.
Yeah. The great potato. Anywho, so he had that calling again, and he went back to Ireland to spread the faith. And that's when his real journey began. His real
The journey begins. Ash Ketchum.
So he gets back to Ireland, and then he starts converting a lot of Irish. He has a lot of trouble with all the Celtic lords and all the people down there. They didn't like him. They really didn't like him. And there's so many crazy stories about some were trying to kidnap him, imprison him, assassinate him, tons of stories like that. We'll get into that.
Imagine if they, I don't know, when you said like they don't like him, like one guy's just like, he's like, hey Tom, what's up? He's like, I just don't like that guy. Maybe we should kill him. I don't know. It was a lot funnier in my head, but
yeah. But they let's see, where do we begin? What's the first story? I guess we can talk about his first miracle, or one of that's been kind of known or established as his first miracle. He was going over to Ireland, and there was a ceremony going on. He was doing like a honor of like the Blessed Virgin Mary, and then all of a sudden he was traveling, and then there's this one guy, and he comes up with his sword, and he sees it. He didn't like St. Patrick, so he tried to like smite him, like kill St. Patrick with a sword. And as he was about to like swing his sword and hit St. Patrick, the guy's arm just freezes, and he's just like stiff. And he can't like swing. He wants to like swing it, but he's just like, "Arr!" But he can't. And then St. Patrick's like, "What are you doing, man?" Pretty much. So he was like saying, "Just stop what you're doing, and then you'll be free." So then the guy, he finally, he's like, "Okay, I'll stop." And then he stops, and his arm basically gets released. And he's like, "Whoa!" It's like, "What is going on?" Pretty much.
So this is confirmation that the Force is real.
St. Patrick.
You do not want to kill me.
Yeah, he is.
It's a Jedi mind trick. Trick the kid.
Yeah, but then that guy, the same guy who's trying to kill him, he's like, all right, maybe he's like actually telling the truth. Like he's actually like teaching the truth. So that guy converts. And so, at this time, St. Patrick's still converting a lot of people, baptizing a lot of the Irish, and starting up his own missionaries down there, and doing a lot of good work. Converting a lot of people. There's also a bunch of other crazy stories, like there's one on like Easter Sunday. He was celebrating Paschal Sunday, and it was with the Paschal fire, and he was doing like the whole not process, I can't remember the word, the mass,
liturgy,
the liturgy for the Saturday,
or the service.
Yeah, the service with the Paschal fire, and a lot of the Irish, or like the Celtic, or like the Druids and the other people didn't really like that, and they tried to like stop that ceremony, and they tried to like extinguish the fire as much as they possibly could. Well,
because all the fire, there's supposed to be no fire in all of Ireland, right?
Yeah.
But what was that about? I didn't really get that. Like, why did they not want any fire?
Oh, because they saw that the fire represents like the Catholicism, like God, like he's the light in the fire. I mean, we can go a lot more depth. I probably should have studied more on like the Paschal Sunday, because this goes really in depth into it. But I can't remember what the actual fire represents, but I'm pretty sure it's like the Word of God, like the light, and it's supposed to be all dark and everywhere.
Really, the Holy Spirit, or no?
Yeah, or like the Holy Spirit, I believe, and it's supposed to like spread, and that's like then it's finally like just like leading up to like Easter, and the people did not want it, like the pagans, they didn't like it, because they were like, okay, this is like bringing Catholicism into Ireland, and they tried as much as to like extinguish the Paschal fire. And, God came in and helped St. Patrick out, and ended up stopping all of them, protecting St. Patrick throughout a bunch of stuff just happening.
And so they were actually, like, throwing water on the fire, nothing would happen, right?
Yeah, they try to, like, throw rocks,
or there was, like,
water.
Did it say it was, like, some sort of field, like, force field thing? or was it, like, it just didn't extinguish it, like, it would just disappear?
It would probably just disappear or extinguish. I'm not too sure. I mean, if I was there...
You were there.
Well, I was there. I'm a time traveler.
You think we pay you just to, like, just go on the internet? You were supposed to go there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let me just hop through my portal real fast and, like, check it out.
Your time machine.
I'll double check that.
Set to 470 AD.
They were definitely trying to attack, like, St. Patrick on that day of, like, trying to extinguish the fire. They would throw rocks at him. And, St. Patrick just knelt there, prayed, and God protected him. Miracles were happening around him, and he eventually, they gave up, and then he, converted a lot of them as well. Saved a lot of souls. Also, a lot of souls weren't really happy with him because of that. But yeah, that was just, another crazy story. And there's a bunch of others. Yeah, the lords and the Celtic lords, they didn't like St. Patrick that much. They tried to impersonate him. He escaped a lot. Even tried to assassinate him. There was one attempt where
let's just poison the potato. Just kidding.
Yeah, he's trying to poison the potato. Easy trick, man.
They forgot that he's British.
Yeah, he doesn't like potatoes.
Let's just poison the tea.
Did they? Yeah, they probably had tea back then, I imagine.
Yeah, maybe. I think so.
5th century. I'm not too much history nerd about the tea. But yeah, there was an assassination attempt on St. Patrick as he was traveling. He was in his carriage, and he was traveling with like some other Irish folk with him, and he was having a good talk, on your carriage trip. And I believe, if I remember correctly,
like gossiping about the Druids.
Yeah. If I remember the story correctly, he was what was it? He swapped seats with one of the guys who were like doing the chariot, and St. Patrick swaps seats with him. And the assassin knew St. Patrick was sitting in a certain spot. But then when St. Patrick swapped, the assassin didn't know. So he ended up killing some random guy instead of St. Patrick. So, it's like, imagine that. Like, St. Patrick's like, oh, the seat's uncomfortable. I'm going to sit in the back. And then just all of a sudden the next guy just gets stabbed.
Just imagine being that guy, though.
Yeah. Well, imagine that. I mean, that guy died a martyr, pretty much. Yeah. He saved a saint.
He became a saint by saving a saint.
Exactly. He became a martyr. Imagine that.
Wait, does it count? Because he didn't know.
I don't know.
I have to check with St. Peter. I'll be back.
We'll be right back.
Nice. There was also one part you were saying right here that the Druids, by their incantations, overspread the hill and surrounding plain with a cloud worse than Egyptian darkness. I've never heard that story before.
Oh yeah, I left that in the notes. Not too sure. But I honestly, when I was reading it, I imagined like that scene from Lord of the Rings when like the orcs were attacking the was it Mordor? I forget the name. Not Mordor. No, it was Gondor.
Wait, was it really?
I don't know if it's Gondor. I forget. Oh my gosh.
It was the Shire.
No, 2 times. Why do we forget? This is the most epic fight.
Moria.
Not Moria. Helm's Deep. That's what it was. Helm's Deep. It was in Helm's Deep, and you know how like Gandalf, like it was all like dark, and then all of a sudden like Gandalf shows up and just like light. That's how I was picturing the going back to the Paschal Sunday thing, or like for the fire. That's what it kind of was. I pictured it in my head. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like Lord of the Rings, pretty much. Because the Druids, they were like like doing all these evil like casting like spells or like trying to like do whatever they could to like knock out the Paschal.
I could just imagine like wizards with their like their blue robes with stars on them, just going like
yeah, pretty much
with like a little beard. He has like his slippers on, like skinny legs, all hairy. Yeah. He's like
big on fire. But yeah, oh yeah, I totally forgot to touch on that. Yeah, they were trying to like very demonic stuff they were trying to do to like bring out the fire, and yeah, and I imagine how it was because they were traveling as well with the Paschal fire. They were going from a city to another city, and I imagine just like like the old Druid people were like rah, rah. And then all of a sudden like here comes St. Patrick with the Paschal fire and the lightning, and it's just like the whole like shining the Holy Spirit on all of them, and they're like no, and then it just pretty much, yeah. Like
no, but it's interesting because here's the thing. I feel like a lot of Catholics even now like they sort of have like this modernist thinking because I mean. You know how people say like, oh, I don't believe in magic or whatever. But the thing is that magic does exist. Oh, yeah. And because I just feel like that's something that a lot of people are like, oh no, that just, that's just what they would say, in the old church or whatever. Because even in the Bible, it says that there was the magician, and I forgot, I think it was in the Acts of the Apostles, and it's so real, and it has it right here in St. Patrick's story, and it's the way that magic is used or whatever is that they have this the formula. It's sort of like when they do the sacraments, it's sort of like that, but in a demonic way. Where there's there's the formula to follow, and then there's the material, and and that's the thing, because people they think it's like superstitious to think these things, but the things that they're using the power of the demons,
Yeah.
And the thing is that God allows that because He gave us free will.
Yeah.
So then, and also,
No, just kidding.
Dang it. So that's just something we gotta be careful about, because there are things that we maybe we're in possession of that could be some cursed object or something, something like that. So it's just something to be wary about.
Check your belongings, everybody. I think Saul might,
Don't worry, I won't use my wizardry on you.
I'll put my magic wand away. Yeah, I mean, St. Patrick, he was a very, very penitential guy. He would wear, I forget what those shirts are called, like the hairy shirts, like itchy.
Mm-hmm.
He would wear those. He would sleep on like rock beds.
Mm-hmm.
He would fast. I mean, let's Lent.
Which is important. It's important in every Catholic's life to be penitential.
Mm-hmm. Penance is a good thing.
Because I think it's sort of also something that's been lost. People are like, oh, as long as you're a nice person, as long as you're a good person, they're like, as long, I don't kill, I don't steal, that you'll make it to heaven. But like, I mean, just the sins we make, that sin is the greatest evil in the world. And so we need to do reparation for our own sins and the sins of others,
Mm-hmm.
And the way we do that is penance.
Yeah.
Because like, in the gospel, how there was like a demon that the apostles couldn't drive out.
Mm-hmm.
And they were asking Jesus like why they couldn't drive him out, and he was saying, well, because with this one you need penance and prayer to drive out that demon,
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing, for just in our lives,
Definitely. Yeah, as St. Patrick became bishop and he started converting more Catholics. He was getting some bad rep by other priests in Britain. And they were like, oh, like they were on their phones back then. And they're like, oh, St. Patrick. Or he wasn't called St. Patrick. Oh, Patrick. Or Bishop Patrick. He was...
Hashtag crazy old Patrick again.
Yeah, hashtag crazy old Patrick. He was, just like using his status to make wealth, to make money, make it like a pretty penny.
Mm-hmm.
And so St. Patrick, he was like, no. So he writes the Confession, or the Confessio in Latin. It was all in Latin.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I found a translate. So I read that, and I know I need to work my Latin.
Imagine like they're talking about him, like, cause I'm guessing there's rumors, right, being spread about him, and like I could just imagine like if there was like a Dr. Terry Marshall back then, he's like the Pope, St. Patrick, St. Patrick got it again.
Yeah. No, I believe it was just they were thinking St. Patrick was kind of just using his status to just make money and kind of like scam everybody. Yeah. So St. Patrick writes his confession in defense of himself, and he basically writes like a biography of himself, and he talks about his early life to his middle life to like to when he was writing it. And he does mention he wasn't doing that at all, and he does make mention of that, but he also mentions so much good stuff. Like when he was younger, he would say in his confession, I forget I didn't no quotes, but he basically stated that he was not very well taught in scriptures or like anything like that. So he was like, yeah, I was a pretty dumb kid back then. And so but it's crazy because if you actually read the confession, oh my gosh, it is just piles of like scripture, like mentions of like from the Bible, like so much, and it's all so good. And I'm like, this guy, he knew his stuff. There's so many mentions. It's probably some of the stuff even probably threw over my head. So yeah, he was like very like well at the point when he was writing that he knew like the Bible probably from the back of his head. Or whatever the saying is. He knew it really good. And a lot of things he also mentioned was the spiritual attacks he had as going through.
Well, yeah, because I can imagine he's literally converting the whole country.
Yeah.
Like Satan was probably very
Satan,
really mad about
Satan
that,
was
you know?
after him.
Yeah.
Big time. He definitely put him in the test where he would, attack him at nights with his dreams and stuff. And, it's crazy because I think there was this one he was having having a dream, and then, Satan just started attacking. Like, he was just having, like, horrible nightmares. And he literally couldn't get out of it until finally the sun rose. And, it was, he was basically calling out for the, for God to help him out. And finally, like, the sun rose. And, just, like, he broke free of it. And he was like, oh, thank you, Lord, for, like, helping me out with that. So he definitely, like, he definitely thanked God for his attacks. I mean, if you're ever being attacked like that,
mm-hmm.
Good man to call. St. Michael. God.
And St. Patrick.
St. Patrick.
Yeah.
Guardian angel. You're not alone, guys. You're not alone. You got backup. So, he was definitely attacked a lot. So he had really a good spiritual warfare life, to attack, to defend from the devil's attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess we can go on.
Yeah, there was some really cool stuff you're talking about. I mean, that you put in here. Like some of your research about that he stayed up in the mountain.
Oh, yeah, this was
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I know.
That's pretty cool. Like, I never thought you could ask those things.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was reading the encyclopedia on him. And, and apparently, I believe it was during, Lent time. It was like the 40 days. He went up a mountain. And he just stayed in a rock praying and, like, fasting. And, I believe, if I remember correctly from my notes, he, let's see. Let me just read through so I can get this down properly.
Because it was about the demons, right?
Yeah, he was being definitely attacked. Like the sky would be filled with just like crows, like surround the sky. Just like turn to blackness basically. Yeah. And St. Patrick's just on this mountain, going through the land, just fasting the guy.
But just imagine if that's like imagine California.
Yeah, just like
that's probably how it would be. Like it was saying that it would literally cover the mountains, like full of crows, and that was like all the demons like possessed, like I guess appearing as crows, and they were like so much that it would cover the whole mountains. So like he was attacking all of those demons.
Definitely. But definitely St. Patrick was calling God to help him out, to get rid of all the crows and the demons. Even like was calling out to God, and he like hit like a bell, and he was like, "Oh wait, guys, leave me alone."
He's not a bird person.
He's not a bird person.
He's not like PTSD.
No. I mean, the crows are pretty scary. I mean, they're not too scary. But...
I don't know. When I was like last week, I was after work, I was coming home, and there was like a bunch of crows. I don't know if they were like migrating or something, but they decided to rest right there where I parked my car. Like filled. And I don't know. I was just like, I don't know. Like they're just birds, but it's like scary to go through a bunch of them. I don't know why.
It's all his PTSD from birds. You heard it.
They would like spread every time I went next to them. I had the light. I had the power. I had the gift. Because he's saying like that once the crows left and plunged themselves into the sea, that he still stayed up in the mountain praying.
Yeah, he stayed up, going even past like Lent. He was still like, just or not. I don't know if it's actually. Let me read that. Was it past that? Yeah, I do remember. Like he did stay up in the mountain, and he was just praying, and he was asking God for him to like, hear his prayers and like, give him some what's the word? Like he's asking for like a blessing for not just him but for Ireland itself to like protect it. He asked, I believe it was like 4 different things.
No, 5.
5? Oh yeah, 5 different things. He basically was like testing God, or no, I shouldn't say testing God, but he was like up there being like, all right, God, I'm not leaving until you come and hear me out. And then eventually, I believe, an angel, so he was asking for his prayers to be heard, and then an angel came to confront him. But basically, the guy was like, all right, here's an angel. Like, what do you have to say to me? And So eventually, he told the angel what he wanted, and then he would leave the mountain. So God sends the angel down, and he asked for. Let me see if I remember this. The many of the souls would be freed from the pains of purgatory through his intercession. But whoever in the spirit of penance would recite his hymn before death, and would attain the heavenly reward. And the barbarians' hordes would never obtain the sway of his church. He also prayed for that. He was basically telling, like, he's like, here's my list. Barbarians attacks. No more iron, please. Like, we had enough of that, please. Barbarians, go away. He asked for, like, definitely a lot of the souls in purgatory to be helped out. And he asked 7 years before the judgment. Oh, yeah, he asked for 7 years before the Judgment Day, the sea would spread over Ireland to save its people from the temptations of the terrors of the Antichrist. So he was like, okay, like 7 years before, like...
that's pretty interesting, because I don't know, I feel like I never thought that you could ever ask those things of God, Like,
I know, me too.
I was like, imagine if I was just like, yeah, can you, like... burn America, like a couple years before the Judgment Day.
Yeah, but yeah, he was afraid of like the people of Ireland, like being like, I don't know, led astray from like the final hours, of like the Judgment Day. He was afraid of like those souls that would be like kind of like a whip going away from the church at like the last moments, and like imagine that, like that would be horrible. So he didn't want that happening to the people of Ireland.
Oh, is it still recording?
Yeah, it's still recording.
Okay.
Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. And then the one of his one he wanted the most was to be kind of a deputy to judging the whole Irish race during Judgment Day. So he would be kind of like helping God judge, during Judgment Day.
Isn't that sort of like, what if I was just like, I wanted to judge the Mexican race? Okay, so you're gonna let Juan go, and you're gonna let Jose go?
Well, I mean, in a way, he helps assist you. He doesn't like say like, no, you're not coming, God. He's like, hey, God, like this guy, don't let him. He's like, hey, Pato, I got you, man. I got you.
Jorge, like, you too, man.
Good one. But yeah, he was definitely he wanted to be like part of that at least. Like, so I guess he asked for his spot during that time, or when that time comes. So yeah, he finally, after the angel heard him, he was like, okay, we will we'll let you go. And then so the angel went, and St. Patrick's like, all right, sweet, I'll go down now.
So basically, he did those favors are granted to him, or is it like unclear?
From what I've read, it was unclear to me. I didn't really get like a full like.
Cause that would be pretty cool. I'm moving to Ireland. I'm moving to Ireland.
You're gonna be an Irish.
I'm
potatoes.
The potato.
The potato.
Thank you, Lord, for the potato.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess we can talk about why St. Patrick's Day is on March 17th.
Oh yeah. Was he not? He was not. He
was
didn't die on that day?
Yeah, well, he wasn't venerated as a saint in Ireland from the 17th century. He was never formally canonized, actually. It was until 1630s that March 17th, the traditional day of his death, where people kind of imagined he died, finally was added as the feast day of St. Patrick. So yeah, he wasn't like canonized until a lot later. Because if we're talking about, like, he was, like, this is St. Patrick's, like, the 5th century.
So people basically just treated him like a saint.
Yeah, a lot of the Irish treated him like a saint. And then, yeah. But nowadays, like, what's going on with St. Patrick's Day? Huh? Why? Where'd the leprechauns come in?
Oh, that's what you're talking about? Yeah. So in Ireland, like, now they legalize abortion and...
Definitely.
And gay marriage. And, I think so. I think gay marriage. And it's just like, whoa. Like, you never thought such a Catholic country... do that, and that's why we need to pray for our countries.
Definitely. I mean, St. Patrick, he made a huge statement. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
to see it like, no, not like this, not like this. But hopefully, his prayers he sent to God.
Oh yeah. I mean, they have a lot of what do you call it? A lot of graces pouring out from Saint Patrick,
to help out.
Especially if he's asking things like this,
Imagine, dude, I would love to see him.
I mean, it said right here that his prayers are so powerful that there was no evil thing to be found in Ireland.
Oh yeah, for that time.
Now, what does that mean exactly? Like, no one did anything evil, or like there was no evil cursed object, or
I
there
guess,
wasn't.
He really kicked out the devil from that place. I imagine it could be like
He's like T.O.
He's like, all right, I'll talk about this. I'll come back later. No, I guess he did imagine from like how it is. He just kicked out the devil. Really, he just like, be gone, boom boom, kicked him out for a bit, but then time went on. The devil snooped back in. He's sneaky.
He's snooky.
He's snooky. Gotta watch out for that guy.
Is there any like prayers you found on St. Patrick or no?
Oh yeah, there were. I did not add them in my notes.
Maybe we could add them in the description.
Oh yeah, there's a couple. There's actually two I saw. One was longer than the other. There's one that was really short. But the prayers, yeah. He had a lot of those, and people would like back in Ireland they would say them, and he converted a lot of the pagans back then. Oh, I totally forgot all that. There's so many other stories you can talk about St. Patrick. Maybe for later. Actually,
for next year.
Next year. Like he converted a lot of them with like prayers. Like a lot of like the pagans, they would be converted like that way. And a lot of baptisms he gave. Junkie. No. So yeah, we can below we'll add some prayers.
We'll put some descriptions in the
description.
I mean prayers in the description.
Definitely.
Description in the prayers.
Definitely. And after this, remember, go read the Confessions.
Go kiss an Irish person in your life on St.
Agreed.
Go kiss an Irish person in your life today. Do you have an
Make
Irish?
sure they're Catholic.
Yeah.
Don't want those pagans.
No.
Actually, maybe you can convert them. Maybe.
Kiss them and then convert them. Just kidding.
Convert them and then kiss them.
Nicholas, do you have a special Irish person in your life?
Oh my god.
Just kidding. All right. Well, is that all you have to offer us, really? I'm just kidding.
So I feel like I'm missing something, but I feel like maybe we
I mean,
covered
I
everything.
think that was
Basically covered everything.
yeah.
This has been a story time with good old Nicholas.
With good old Saint Nick talking about good old Saint Patrick.
Yep.
And
Good old St. Paul.
hey, Saint Saul. That's
Saint
gonna be a
Saul.
new one, okay?
Saint Saul.
I'm adding that one to the breviary, okay? Hopefully this Koji podcast will make me a saint. No, I'm just kidding. No. If anything, it's gonna give him more reason not to make me a saint. Especially after all these jokes about St. Patrick. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Nicholas, for studying for this podcast.
I thank you for
It means a lot.
on.
And I think you learned a lot about St. Patrick.
Oh.
I learned a lot about St. Patrick. Hopefully they learned a lot about St. Patrick. And yeah, so yeah, remember, it's a Catholic feast day. We gotta pray.
Indeed.
Pray to the saint, celebrate, eat a lot of potatoes, and God bless.